Hello, everybody, and welcome to Suds and Squared Circle. My name is Vinnie, or Suds News, I should say. My name is Vinnie, and unfortunately, Angela is not here. Thank you to Mother Nature, Angela has no power. With the heat wave the East Coast is getting right now, it's no secret that sometimes Mother Nature just takes over, which kind of sucks. But you know what? Whatever. It is what it is. I am still here. Kim will actually be joining me at any point later on. So we're going to actually combine Suds News and GateCrashers tonight because of the simple fact that Angela's not able to make it. As always, I do want to let everybody know that the voting for the Sudsies is open. It is still open right now. It's open for another 8 days, another week basically. You can go to suds-media.com/Sudsy voting and vote. We did go ahead and officially announce that Amanda and Shannon from Pier 54 will be joining the presenters list, along with a whole host of who's who of podcasters from the soap and wrestling world. And we'll be having a great time. That is Friday, August 1st, 2025. And that'll be at 8 p.m. Eastern, live right here on many of these same networks that you're watching now. Okay. Hi, Steve. Hi, Kaiwan. Thank you for coming into the chat. Go ahead. Help me today. I'm asking for help from the chat because I am by myself today. Hey, Chad. Welcome to the chat as well. But yes, as you can tell, I am by myself. But I am wearing some official Suds and Squared Circle Media swag. You can go to suds-media.com/merch to get yours. Wearing the hat or the tank top. There's a whole host of stuff. You can get the Suds and Squared Circle Media logo on, or the Dockside at the Bay logo, or the Doc Effin side. There's also the Take Me Down to Studio City. There's also Suds and the Squared Circle retro logo as well. So check that out. Buy them because every sale helps support our show as well. And Taiwan, I will definitely get to the judge because of the simple fact that I'm going to get there later on today. Don't worry about that. We'll be talking all about the court case, the custody case we talked about last week, but we did find out more information this week. So I do want to go ahead and thank our brand new sponsor, W Energy. As most of you know, I normally get up around 3 or 4 in the morning, especially, and then we go live at 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern. Normally I drink coffee. I normally have my Suds and Squared Circle coffee mug. But today I actually have a W Energy mug or a cup because W Energy is our new sponsor. dubby.gg. Go there, use Suds Media as the promo code. You get 10% off. It's jitterless energy, which basically means that you don't get the jitters from it like you would get from a normal energy drink. I've been using it now for a couple of days, and I feel great with it. I haven't actually drank any coffee because of switching over. And right now, this flavor that I'm drinking now is Oda's Restore Potion. I think they do a lot with the gaming community, but they're a sponsor of our show, of our network. So w.gg, use the promo code SudsMedia for 10% off. And this stuff is really, really good. Excuse me, down the wrong pipe. Can't talk and drink at the same time. But you know what's also cool is they do hydration drinks as well if you don't want the energy. And just a hydration blend. This is Pineberry Splash, pineapple, strawberry. It's fantastic. Okay. 99 people already tuning in. Thank you so much for tuning in. You're just getting me right now. Kim will come into StreamYard when she's ready, and then we'll switch over to GateCrashers. So we're going to combine everything tonight into one. All right. So let me just kind of go through the chat right now. Kaiwan is said Willow wasn't the bad guy, and the judge was being very biased towards Willow last week. I felt, because I know that Willow was not a bad mother, she's not neglectful at all. I think the fan base didn't believe the judge more because I feel like the fan of General Hospital has been more sexist. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I wouldn't call the fan base sexist. And honestly, I think that the judge, which, is really strange that they showed that Sidwell paid off the judge, right, Steve? They did explain that Sidwell paid off the judge. I don't understand why. And I'm wondering if maybe Sidwell just paid her for doing the right thing. I mean, all of the, for lack of a better term, allegations, but they're not allegations. They're reasons, right? That Willow lost the custody was true. As the judge is reading all these things out, she put herself ahead of, she put Drew ahead of the kids. Kaiwan says because he wants to kidnap Sasha's baby, so that she can get in good with Sasha's mother, Holly. Yep, Kaiwan. Sasha's mother's name is Holly. That's long-term storytelling right there, honestly. Which is amazing that they're keeping the Sidwell Holly story going this way. And thank you for pointing that out, Kaiwan. And Kaiwan also says, yeah, but notice the judge never said anything about Michael. Michael has a baby with another woman, and he was getting pictures from the other woman of the baby. But that's not illegal. I mean, technically nobody was illegal in any of this. Cheating is not illegal. But it's still... hi, Jeannie. I know you're asking about Angela. Angela, unfortunately, has no power. So she will be in chat, but she's not able to actually be on the show tonight. The judge never brought up Willow's cheating. Right. Thank you, Angela. There was no cheating that was brought up. It was basically that Angela, oh my God, that Willow brought the kids across state lines. Do not. Yes, that is true. You do not have the power, unfortunately. So, all right. So now that my brain is going every which way because I'm reading the chat and trying to go through everything. So, yes, Jeannie, adultery is legal in most states. I mean, I know that there are a lot of states that, have these outdated laws about there's one state where you can't walk with a ice cream cone in your pocket. But when it comes to that, cheating has no bearing on child custody either. Not to mention, the idea that Willow took, Wiley, to Washington without consent. That was the biggest thing. Honestly, that was the biggest thing in the whole thing that really sealed the deal for Michael was Willow's neglect of the kids. And it wasn't even neglect. It was just the fact that Willow dropped basically everything and just went to Drew. Drew this, Drew that. And Drew, put a lot of these ideas in her head. She was the one that was saying, well, Drew said this and Drew said that. And it's still happening. And when Michael was illegal, but it did not found upon as good father, then we can't say 11 point of cheating. You're right. There's, neither one of them was quote unquote better than the other when it comes to it. Michael cheated first, but then you could theoretically go back to Willow kissing Drew first. So again, they both had side affairs. They both cheated, so it was equal on that front. So it really doesn't matter, honestly. All right. So it was the things that Willow did afterwards. So we're looking at this from the eyes of the audience. Okay, we saw everything that every decision that Willow made. We saw the judge read it out, to, right in front of the court and all this other stuff. Michael did put his children first. Even while he was in the burn unit, he FaceTimed with Wiley and Amelia, thanks to Christina. Willow didn't do that. It didn't really get brought up other than Willow saying on the stand that, she tried to go to Germany and he turned her away when Michael wrote down to Diane. That never happened. So that will come out soon. Chad, yes, to me, though, I will say that Willow having an emotional affair with her husband's uncle was far worse than Michael having a one-night stand with Sasha. I could get behind that because, in the eyes of the judge, neither one of them, everything outweighs the other. All right, so Kaiwan says that Willow did put her children first. She thought of her children every time he takes care of the children. He works at the hospital. He doesn't depend on Michael's money. Here's the thing. When you're in a custody battle, and Kaiwan, I don't know necessarily what what country you're watching from. If it's the U.S., it's great. Or what state, depending on whatever situation the laws in your area say. But when you're going through a custody case, a divorce, and whatever, and there's no custody order in, or there's no divorce decree or custody order, you can't just up and take your children across state lines without consent of the other parent. Because theoretically, Michael could have said that Willow kidnapped the children. Yes. On the night of everything that went down, he told Willow to take the children because he didn't want to fight in front of her. Willow was ready to put up a fight. Michael did not want to engage in front of the kids. Michael and Nina just wanted to take the kids and leave. Michael caught them, and he's the one that put the kids first instead of traumatizing them with a huge argument, said, just take the kids, and what have you. When he went to Germany, he put the kids first because he wanted to get the best treatment possible. And again, Chad, I agree with you. It still bothers me that Willow hasn't asked Wiley about what Drew said in private. Agreed. That's another big thing, is that I'm sorry, but if, when my son was, Wiley's age, and he came up to me and said, something like, well, Wiley said, I would want to verify with him, what did so-and-so say, or is this the truth, or, mommy said this, or whatever the case was. I would want to verify, because kids usually don't lie, right? And Willow, again, taking Drew's word of it, not going to Wiley is just fucked up. Excuse my language. They were separated. They were separated, Kaiwan. She had no reason to believe that she can do that. They were separated because she was sleeping with Drew. So, it's all big stuff, and I get it. And normally, 95% of the time, judges will side with the mother. And I'm not being sexist on that. I'm, for years, as a single father, my family had custody of my son. I'll leave it at that. But again, the judge normally sides with the mother. When my parents got divorced, my sister and I stayed with my mother. Very, very rarely do they give it to the father unless there's circumstances that, are extraordinary. And these were extraordinary circumstances. The fact that Willow went along with Drew, taking Riley down to Washington with them without asking permission, shows a lapse in judgment. She could have easily said, "I'm sorry, Drew, I can't go. I have the kids." Or she could have asked Michael or Carly or Michael's family, "Could you guys watch the kids because we're going down to Washington?" That's how you do it maturely. That's how you do it the right way. She felt she could do whatever she wanted because she listened to Drew. And the fact here now, so kind of want to understand, and you have to be able to be in the situation to know, everything that usually goes on with the situation. And whatever somebody's situation is, whether their parents are married or not, whatever. Hi, Donna. Welcome in. We're talking right now about the judge's ruling and the fallout from the court case. So I can understand, Kawan, where you're coming from. And trust me, it's a soap opera, so it's going to be as dramatic as possible. The fact that the judge came down so hard on Willow shows that they are doing it for extra drama. Okay? Sidwell paying the judge for it, to put the icing on the cake. But I'm, again, wondering what the... Michael is not the bad guy in the story. I'm sorry, I cannot see that. He did what he had to do to get back to his kids, and protect them from Willow's lack of mothering, for lack of a better term. She's a mother. I'm not going to deny that she's a decent mother, but her decision making let me put it this way. Let me put it in these terms, okay? When Vince Russo was a writer for WWF back in the late 90s, okay? He helped bring in the Attitude Era. He helped with DX and all this other stuff. He was part of the writing team with Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon was the filter to kind of keep Vince Russo in line. His decisions were outlandish at times. Read his book if you don't know what I'm talking about. But he then went to WCW at the height of the Monday Night War. And WCW thought that they were getting the driving force between WWE's creative. So, when it comes to WCW, Vince Russo had a lot of these outlandish ideas, but didn't have the filter of Vince McMahon to whittle them down to what was best for the show, whether it's censors, whether it's advertisers, whether it's, whatever the case, but even for the fans. Some things were so outlandish that it turned the fans off to the product. So it's just kind of the same thing with Willow. Willow's a good mother when she has Michael as the filter to help guide her in the right direction, right? Drew is a bad influence. He's manipulating Willow, and he's also gaslighting her in multiple things. What I'm trying to figure out is why, Sidwell paid for Drew basically to lose when he's working with Drew for the, for the Esplanade. However, it was said in chat earlier, maybe Sidwell has a longer game plan because of the situation we saw earlier this week. We saw earlier this week that there was a shot of somebody seemingly lurking in Daisy's room, right? Somebody that was looking to passively take Daisy. Now, the baby is 3 days old. I would think that the baby would be in Sasha's room, in Sasha's room, and, sleeping right next to her. That's what normally happens. But you know what? The Quartermains have a ton of nannies and a ton of, child care on property. So give the baby her own room, whatever. I'm sure there's a million of the video a million other video cameras and video monitors as well. I don't think I don't think Sasha replaces Willow, because of the simple fact that Carly always liked Willow, and Carly has always liked Sasha. They have been closer, but Michael's the one that runs his own relationship. I know Carly's big into that, big into his life, and she's the mama bear. I get that. But Willow did leave, and Willow chose Drew over Michael. But again, Willow also chose Michael over Chase while she was married to Chase. Exactly, G. That's it. That's exactly what I'm thinking about. With Sasha losing Liam, no way would she have Daisy in another room. So that's what my biggest problem with the whole thing is. Let's see. Chad says, now my guess for the last while has been it's either Holly who sneaked in and is looking on the baby, or it's Willow who was sleepwalking, can't remember. The sleepwalking angle I could probably see, especially when she was kind of, if you watched her during today's episode and her interactions with Nina, it felt like she was a zombie. Yeah, it really did. It felt like it was like Willow was a zombie. She was just there but out of it. I can't really explain it. By the way, check out the W energy drinks. Like I said, Oda's Restore Potion, fantastic. 10% off w.gg/ and promo code Suds Media. 10% off. Check it out. It's great. Could it be Holly? I don't know. Angela says it's not, and it's not Gladys. We know that. So I don't think it's Holly. Could it? I don't know where that's going. I really don't. Right, exactly. Red herring and not Brit. I know what you meant, Kawan. I don't think that not Brit is going to steal the baby. I think we still have to see what this whole thing is. So let me ask you guys. Angela says, can I drop a spoiler about somebody else coming back? I say go for it. Go ahead and drop that spoiler, and I'll put it up on the screen. Jeannie's in full agreement with me saying yes. By the way, folks, I do want to once again let you know the Sudsy voting is open. Suds-media.com/Sudsy voting takes you right to the Google form, and go ahead and vote for another week. During this week, I'm going to start announcing. The presenters and which categories they're going to be presenting. So stay tuned to our social media, which is at Suds Media on X, and you'll be seeing the official announcements as we start dropping who's going to be announcing which categories on the Sudsy Awards. And thank you for voting, Donna. Donna asked Angela, why are you here instead of there, meaning in the chat? She has no power, unfortunately. So I'm on my own until Kim comes in. Donna, I'm glad you voted. Shauna, you want the spoiler. The spoiler is Sasha's daddy, Robert. And it's weird. I just saw a post on X about I just saw a post on X from somebody about Y&R saying that Colin, who's Robert's or Tristan Rogers' character, was killed off. Angela, was that true? Was Colin killed off from Y&R? I don't know for sure because I'm not somebody that watches Y&R regularly, but wow, that's huge. So I guess so. So I'm assuming he's really starting to wind down his career then. killing off screen. Yeah, I assume that. Let's see. So chat is so hot in here. I'm surprised my power isn't on. Yes, Colin Dani and YNR. So thank you for that information. I just found it very very, very, weird as you're saying that Robert's coming back to see on the same day that Colin was killed off on YNR, but he hasn't been there for years, so that makes sense. It's kind of anywho, okay. So let's move on a little bit. Before we do, I am going to go ahead and give you a word from one of our sponsors. Well, it's my own sponsor, so to speak. We are an official affiliate of WWE Shop. Take a look.
Ladies and gentlemen, Suds and Sports Social Media is an official affiliate of the WWE Shop. Whether you want merchandise from the original Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, or the Hall of Famers, the New World Order, or from WrestleMania itself, scan the QR code on the screen or go to suds-media.com/wrestling merch, and it gives us a commission to help our show.
All right. So, yes, WWE Shop, go there, suds-media.com/wrestling merch, and it does give us a commission. I'm glad that Robert's coming back as well. I like how he's probably going to be tied into a number of different things. I'm assuming not only with the Sasha storyline, but also with the whole Dalton thing. So Jeannie asks, "Do you know, Angela, when he's going to be back?" I like that they're doing short stints for a lot of these veterans, and I know people get on Twitter all the time and complain. Because of they want to see Ken Shriner, they want to see they want to see Lucy, they want to see all of this, all these people. I get it, but sometimes you just need to pop the territory. What do I mean by that? I mean, you need to bring in a veteran, a somebody who's going to get over, as a wrestling term, and just to pop the ratings. Whether it's Trisha Rogers or Erica Slezak, like we saw is coming in pretty soon, for a short contract, which could be 6 months to a year. Who knows? Maybe more, depending on how she likes the show. So, I agree. It's going to be fantastic as we get a lot of these people coming back for short stints. I never thought I'd see Ryan Pavey come back, but he's coming back in this, clone situation storyline or whatever it might be that Professor Obrecht is putting together. So it's going to be a really good it's going to be a really good July sweep. So it's going to be a really good summer. A hit person, no, I don't think Erica Slezak is going to be a hit person. I don't think that's going to happen at all. I don't know I don't know how that rumor got started. I really don't think so. Unless she's part of the WSB, but who the hell knows? All right. Mad scientist. I just caught that. Professor Alton is going to be a mad scientist studying animals, making a thing like what Liesel did to somewhere. He's a doctor. I don't mind. Okay, Donna, one of your more brilliant ideas. I'm looking forward to the storyline with Dawn. It's getting into Days territory, if it's really a cloning thing. But you know what? I'm okay with it. I haven't really seen too much supernatural stuff on General Hospital, outside of people coming back from the dead and then, what have you. But that's a normal soap trope. But I'm really looking forward to it. I like where it's going. Okay. I did put a teaser in the show notes that I am going to combine, as I always do, the worlds of wrestling and soap operas. I want y'all, if you have never listened to other podcasts, which I'm sure you do, if you're watching us or listening to us, I want you to search out what's your story with Steph McMahon. Okay, because last episode that she had was with Nick Khan. Nick Khan is the president of WWE. And Nick Khan basically put it out there that WWE doesn't pay attention to social media. They don't really care about what the IWC or the Internet Wrestling Community points out. I'm going to try to find the Nick Khan quote because of the simple fact that, here we go. This is coming from Cage Side Seats. Here we go. As much as we listen to our audience, we won't listen to social media and respond. We think it's a small percentage of voices who have a big microphone or megaphone in front of them. It's a mistake to respond to your business based off of that. You've got to base it off your guts and the results. And that was not from the podcast. That was an earlier thing. But it's the same thing. It's the same thing. They don't book based on what the internet says. We've been saying it for months or years now at this point. There's a very small percentage of people on the internet that make up the soap Twitter or internet wrestling community, whatever you want to call, the fans. Very, very small percentage. So, you're right, Chad. Stephanie does do a great job on there. I'm glad she's back in front of the cameras. But what I'm saying is that they can't. Oh, what is that? Ooh, Jesus Christmas! That's a big spider. Live on the air. I just saw a spider go across my desk, and I don't know where it went to now. Well, that's not good. Anywho. Where was I? That just freaked me out. But they don't book for the internet community because you see the same accounts, and maybe it's the same one person with 10 different accounts. How many times have we seen hashtag fire Frank, right? Well, General Hospital is very happy with Frank Valentine because the ratings are there, right? And the fact that, the show is fantastic. We've been saying it for a long time. The show has been fun. Once they finally got their writing problem fixed, whether it's we went through a lot of writers over the past year, a lot of writing teams, whether it was Chris and Dan to Elizabeth and, what was his name? I can't remember. Elizabeth Corte and I don't know, the guy that came back for a couple of months. And then it was Elizabeth Corte by herself, and now it's Elizabeth Corte and Chris Van Etten. They're finally at the point where the writing team is solidified. Patrick, that was it. Elizabeth and Patrick. We're finally at the point where the team is solidified, and the shows have been great. They have everybody in place where they need to be. And I don't care what people say online. Social media is an outlier. Exactly. Chad says social media is an outlier. It doesn't reflect everybody's view and opinions. It's not to say people's right to express themselves don't matter. You're right, because people can express themselves. And it's something that gets traction, right? If you're tweeting about General Hospital, you know what they say? Any publicity is good publicity. And that's all there is to it. Any publicity is good publicity. The fact that people are online complaining, but they're still watching every day, okay? No matter how many times I'm not watching tomorrow. They're tuned in, all right? And people say, oh my God, I'm going to stop if this happens. You're not, right? Because the ratings show that they're there. And it doesn't matter about the Nielsen ratings anymore. It's the Hulu views. It's how many times people watch it on social media when they post the teasers. So General Hospital has the views. ABC is happy with the way Frank Valentini is running things. And I don't know. I'm happy. I'm happy with it. I can't deny it. I can't deny how good I feel that the show is. And so many people are asking about, so many people are, all right. My teacher said, like my parents said in grade school, people hate Triple H because he's paid to be hated. That's what you mean right there. Triple H, at this point in his career, because he's the CCO of WWE, is not being paid to be hated, but that's the sentiment that it is. When you're watching General Hospital, okay, and all you hear, all the things you see about people saying, we're going to do a murder mystery with Drew. Drew's getting killed off. I hate Drew. I can't stand Drew. Blah, 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 blah. Billy Miller wouldn't have done this. That's the one that gets me. But the fact is, he's being written as a villain. Cameron Matheson is portraying Drew superbly. I am enjoying the character of Drew Quartercaine. Because after today, he's not getting that quarter paid back. I really like the idea of Tracy going off on that press conference. I loved it. She dragged Drew through the mud. I hope we don't tune in tomorrow and it was a dream or something that you would have wanted to say. But I loved exactly what she said. I love how she stabbed him in the back because, he forced her hand. He forced her to go in front of the people to say that. Drew should be called his name. He should call himself Drew, more like his mother, Susan Moore. I never saw anything with Susan Moore because I wasn't watching VH back then. So I really can't comment on that. But he's acting very much like a Quartermaine. He's got the worst traits of the Quartermaines all wrapped up into one, whether it was Edward, Alan, and Tracy, all wrapped up into one. Why call him anything but love to hate Drew? Exactly. He's a villain. You have to love to hate him. And there's so much hate out there for him. And here's the thing. If you're going to attack Cameron Matheson for his portrayal of Drew Quartermaine, you're an asshole. You're an idiot. Plain and simple. He's portraying a character. Drew Quartermaine is meant to be hated. Cameron Matheson is the actor. He hasn't done anything. I love what they're doing. Okay? I really do. I really can't complain about it. Unfortunately, we do not have the This Week in General Hospital History because Angela's not here. Well, that'll be coming back on Sunday. Don't forget. Oh, yeah, by the way, folks, I do have to remind everybody, this coming Sunday, the 29th of June, Sunday, 8 p.m., Suds News, 10 p.m., GateCrashers. We are moving to Sunday for this coming week. And then the following week, we're going to be off because I'm going to be on vacation. So, just giving you a couple of, exactly, Shauna, completely agree. They are writing Drew perfectly, and Cameron Matheson has never been better. So, programming notes. This coming Sunday, the 29th, is when we're going to have Suds News and GateCrashers. And then the week after that, which would be July 7th, we will not be on. So, yes, next week, this coming week, Monday becomes Sunday. And then we're going to be off on July 7th. Reason being, I have to work Monday night next week. So we're switching to Sunday next week. So just remember, it's Sunday the 29th at 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. So just those little bit of programming notes. Now, can we talk about Kai? Kai and Trina Donna, no, we are not going dark for July. It's only July 7th because I'm going to be on vacation. So we're not going dark for all of July. We'll be back on July 14th. Don't you worry. Because that's when we'll be back. All right, can we talk about Kai and Trina? I'm liking that they're kind of giving some more layers to Kai. I like how Trina is defending her family, right? She's defending the fact that, Drew can't be trusted. He's been trying to drive this wedge between Curtis and Portia and the whole family. Okay? And I like how their relationship is kind of like Kai trusts Drew because Drew hasn't done anything to him. He's not going to base his judgment on somebody based on what he's done to other people because it could be a personal issue, right? He hasn't seen Drew do anything that would make him question his loyalty, his trust, whatever. Oh, Chad, okay. I'll give you one in this day in history. Felicia fainted when she saw it back from the Frisco in 1989, and the first Nurses Ball happened in 1994. Chad, thank you very much for that information. I didn't know that. So, so that's your today in GH history. Thank you, Chad. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the help. All right. Anywho, where was it? Kai and Trina. I like what they're doing because they're being a mature couple. Kai is going into this knowing the advice he's receiving from Curtis and Portia. Also, thank you, Kaiwan. Today is the first day Dante came on in 2009. So, so that's great. I mean, I love the character of Dante. I wish I was watching back then. I was not. When I started watching regularly, Dante already knew, Dante and Sonny already had their, had their father-son relationship going. We currently have 260 people watching. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate the chat. I want to say that first and foremost. I truly appreciate the chat. Because I don't know how people do single podcasts or solo podcasts by themselves because I feel like I'm rambling, but I'm glad I have the chat to build off of and bounce off of. Shauna says, I have a Kai wish that I want to get to the writers. I want him to be Brick's son that he doesn't have anything to do with because of the mob. I just think it's cool and that could get him away from Drew. That's not a bad idea. I like that idea. And on a further note, if Brick wanted to push Kai in the direction of becoming a sportscaster rather than a football player, a sports commentator, that would be breaking the fourth wall for Stephen A. Smith. So I like it. I really do. So I really do like how Trina is also defending her family. She's like, Drew's done so much as to Curtis and Portia and XYZ. And Kai's like, well, he hasn't done anything to me. I understand, and I'm going to keep watching. I'm going to keep watching out for myself and keep watching my back. If he does something that turns me off, I'll say something. But this is a good opportunity, and I get that. I don't know if maybe Kai was studying political science before getting hurt, but we found out that Kai was like barely going to classes and using a lot of, class time for, a lot of kind of people to do his classes for him because he was celebrated as a football star, right? As quote unquote QB1. which I don't understand why the football players are always the best. Chad says, but I'm wondering if this job Kai is taking with Drew is going to show him, though, how Drew can really be. But I also stand Kai's point of view with Drew. Drew's been good to him. You're welcome. Yes. You're right. Drew has been good to him. And that. Yes, you're right, Kai. You really need to learn political science to be a congressman. You just got to have the scale of the art deal. So that makes sense. Yeah. The art is something that he got into because he thought it was going to be an easy A. And now he's actually enjoying it. I think this will be probably a resume builder for him. And he's going to see Drew be he's going to see a different side of Drew at some point. Now, I don't think at this point in time we're going to find out that Drew is somebody different. That Drew is Shiloh really and the real Drew is being held captive. I can't say that that's going to happen. Because of the simple fact that I just think it's Drew. And they may be going for a PTSD. They may be, the fact that Drew was in prison because of everything that went on and he took the fall for Carly with the SEC and yada, 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 yada. I really feel like, he's going to, after being beat down, he's going to feel like I've got to take this, start getting out in front of things instead of being reactive. I need to be proactive. Remember, when Jason came back, what did he do? He proactively broke up with Carly saying that Jason will always be your number one. And I'm going to play second fiddle. So, that's what it boils down to, is he's now being proactive. So if he could do what if he could get ahead of something, whether it's the custody case with Willow, whether it's the Esplanade, he will do what he has to do to get ahead for himself. And that's all it is to it. He's thinking about himself, above thinking about other people. He put Carly, he was in a relationship with Carly. He's done a lot of things for other people, but he's going for himself. Catching hi, Ice Woman, 1887. Thank you for tuning in and thank you for getting in the chat. What gets me about Drew and Kai is that Kai was apologizing to Drew when surgery did work. When the surgery didn't work. Well, theoretically, the surgery did work because his back is stronger, right? His back is stronger because of the simple fact that the whatever metal piece they put in, he's just not able to play football anymore because any big bump, any big hit, and he could be paralyzed. But so he's one of that, 80%. I don't think he's going to get paralyzed. I don't think, I think he's mature enough to realize his football career is over. And I kind of like how Trina kind of jumped up in that camera guy's face and said, hey, we're not doing this here. Turn it off. Get the hell out. End of story. All right. Let's see. Moving on. Let's see. Where are we? One thing I do want to bring up is that I've seen the posts online. Josh Kelly was taken off contract, put on a recurring status. That doesn't mean he's leaving, folks. He's actually in the middle of a really big story, actually. With Ava, with Molly, with Christina. It just kind of opens him up to do other projects. We saw that he was in a Marvel movie not too long ago. And I'm sure he's got other stuff that he wants to do. So, yes, Josh Kelly, it's his choice. He went off contract, which is fine. I have no problem with it. Um, and Chad says, I could see everything Drew's gone through in prison having changed him for sure, which is exactly. Steve, maybe who will get metallosis? Um, who? Kai? You mean what Heather Weber had? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that that metallosis thing, that hip implant was from the 70s. So over this time, they've kind of refined their processes um, in order to get back, to do better implants. And this is also on the spine. It wasn't a hip. So I don't foresee that happening. So Kai says Josh Kelly was better when he was on One Life to Live because the character made that one life to live. Cody does not make sense on General Hospital. You know, it is what it is when it comes to, Cody. I like him on GH. I like the character. I like Josh Kelly in general. And yeah, I liked Cutter on GH as well, on One Life to Live. Both versions. He kind of ran a club in the, the Hulu version or the online network version or whatever it was. He ran a nightclub. They had Jay Wow from the Jersey Shore, in there as the manager of the club or whatever. So I like the character of Cody. I think he kind of brings a little bit of a lightheartedness to the crew, especially with Molly. Molly is so, driven towards her work. She kind of lost that. So Cutter actually came in at the end of the ABC version. And then they took it. Then he was also on the new version on Hulu, the online network, Prospect Park, whatever you want to call it. It was ahead of its time, and I think it would have done great if it came out now. But yeah, so that's about it. We're gonna go ahead and give you another word of another one of our advertisers. If you're having any problems in your relationships, give her a call.
Are you having problems in the bedroom? Are you having problems with your sex life? Well, I know just who to talk to, and that's Lori. CoachingByLori.com is where you could set up voice, video, or text sessions to talk about sex, to talk about intimacy, kinks, fetishes, taboos, fantasies, or your sexuality. You could talk about coming out and what to expect when you come out. Lori is a sex therapist and talks about your sexual health. Lori's offering all new clients 20% off their first session with the coupon code WELCOME. That's Coaching by Lori, LORIE.com. Coupon code WELCOME, WELCOME, for 20% off your first session.
All right, and definitely go check them out check Lori out because she's absolutely fantastic and a really nice person and very empathetic. Check it out. And while we were in break, Kim has joined me. Welcome. How are you, Kim?
I'm doing all right, Vinnie. How are you?
I am doing good. Thank you for coming in. We are not going to necessarily switch to GateCrashers just yet. We still have some stuff to talk about on Suds News. But Kim is here. And Kim, got to ask you, because you are such a fan of Steve Johnson, he just celebrated his 40th anniversary on Days. Is that correct?
That he did. Yes. No, Stephen Nichols celebrated his 40th anniversary. Yeah, I thought the episode that they put together for him was great. I loved that we got to see Adrian. I love that Judy Evans got to make an appearance as Adrian, because I don't know, personally, I could take or leave Bonnie. I wish we had Adrian back full time. Just explain away the deathing. Death is meaningless on Suds anyway. Because seeing her back interacting with Steve was just so sweet, and I loved that little interaction they had at the start of the episode, and then just the flashbacks and having Jack and Jennifer there. I wish that Bo and Hope could have been in on the dinner. and like sitting there and kind of take part of that as well, because it was, I don't know, between the John Black stuff and the Bope stuff, and now the Steve tribute too. It's like I I'm a sucker for all that, all the flashbacks and all. Like it's just, oh, it was. But I just wish that it hadn't been. It felt so not rushed, but just damn. I wish that it could have just lasted a little bit longer, and I wish that it wasn't just shorter stints for these guys, because seeing them again, like all the just the back in flashbacks and in real time, it's just all those veterans. You really, really appreciate them when they're on, and you miss them, and you just. And also, for what it's worth, with Steve, considering he. I love how Bo and Hope had kind of potentially agreed to be his new partners over at Black Patch,
Mhm.
and then cut to them leaving town. It's like, did Steve get the memo that you guys? I mean, you're the one who pitched partnership to him, Bo, and now all of a sudden you're taking off with your wife to go sailing around the world. It's like, what happened to our guy here? And now he's like going to show up at the office, and no one's going to be there to be his partner.
Wow.
But no, the tribute episode itself though was really great, and I loved at the end too. They just kind of showed just like a little, just a little montage for our guy, and it's a testament to soaps, because it's like, how many actors can you say, like, have been on a show for that long and been that part of that. It's so that's why I love the genre so much. You can just build that longevity and just have these characters that are just like family, and you love them.
Yeah.
And it was nice seeing him get his flowers, and get he's now, we just got to get an Emmy for that guy.
Yeah.
It boggles my mind that Stephen Nichols has not won an Emmy, at least
Really?
as far as I know. As
Wow.
far as I know, he's never won anything for Days, at least. I don't think he won
Wow.
anything for his Sin on GH either, which just yeah, that needs to be corrected.
Wow. All
But
right.
and honestly, all the acting lately has been, amazing. So honestly, and Deidre Hall too, in the wake of John Black stuff. Oh my goodness! I mean, just everyone is bringing their A game, and it's just now the show just needs a budget.
Right. And they have a decent budget on Peacock.
They
So
should, yeah. But I saw something today. Apparently, it's 10 months now in advance that they're filming.
I heard that
Which
with
I'm
the
just,
announcement of
yeah.
oh boy, the old chance on Connor Floyd being cast
Yes.
as the new Chad Demera.
Yes, I saw that
As
too.
Billy Flynn goes to Y&R to be the new
Yeah. Little trading going on.
Kane Ashby. Connor Floyd goes to Days to become the new Chad. And
Well,
he's
looks
not
wise,
gonna
he definitely wasn't really familiar with the actor, but I saw a photo of him and I was just like, oh, okay. Look wise, similar, but I don't know. I'm just kind of curious where they're going to take the Chad character. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know that they got the whole thing with Kat, but and I do appreciate the chemistry between Billy Flynn and Annalyn McCord. But now that that's going to go, we're going to have the new actor in place. I don't know. I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to. It's kind of like getting beyond the Gates vibes a little bit, where it's just like I'm going to have to see how the two of them chemistry test now that there's a recast in the mix. So.
Well, kind of catching up on chat a little bit. Donna says she needs to be wearing an Angela mask. Because you're coming into Suds, you're in hostile territory. Dom Dante's 16 years anniversary. Yep, we mentioned that earlier. Then she does say she misses Adrian. I never, I didn't see the character. And then she also says, I wish Katie were playing Jen. And that's Missy Steve. Crap, I can't remember his name. Missy Reeves, right? Scott Reeves' wife, who normally plays Jen now.
Yeah. Missy Reeves was back playing her for the most recent stint. I don't know. I gotta say, I like. I love Katie McLean, but I do think that when you have kind of that super couple component with Jack and with Jennifer, you have that chemistry between Matt Ashford and Missy Reeves. I don't know, something about keeping that in. I don't know, because coming from a fan of Katie's from when she was on All My Children, it would to me it always viewed as like if someone went in and took over the role of Dixie up against Tad, and just kind of, it's like you got a certain chemistry and a certain spark. I don't know. I
Yeah.
kind of like to see it maintained, and to me, I just kind of always, for obvious reasons, I just see the spark more between Matt and Missy than with Matt and with Katie. And,
Yeah.
but that's just me. That's just me. I mean,
All
I'm
right.
not as, I don't know. When it comes to Jack and Jennifer, it was nice seeing them in the most recent kind of stint, though, too. Like, they even got some scenes with, like, their grandkid and stuff like that. It's just like, we're getting some, like, family moments on days. We're getting some, they're tapping into that, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, so Donna seems to think that Missy is a destructive element to the show. I can't comment to that because I don't know her personally. And again, I've said before, I don't judge people based on their personal opinions, which I've seen a boatload of stuff about a lot of people. So I don't know for sure what's, how she's a destructive element to the show.
I don't know. I think
Chad
right
does
now
say,
we're seeing some. I'm so used to seeing destructive writing, and it's just nice seeing non-destructive writing for the show for the first
that
time
makes
in at
sense.
least a while. So in terms of that, I'm at least seeing some signs of life with the show, as opposed to the past couple of years that has just left me very just. Oh, maybe I'll check in today. Oh, maybe I'll see what's going on. I don't know. At least now there's more incentive for me to tune in than there has been in quite a bit. So I can appreciate that.
Yeah, Chad. He's been. Chad said that we saw Billy Flynn at Days Still, and also on YNR's Aristotle Dumas, aka Kane. And I'm just hearing about Connor Floyd. He was on YNR. Yeah, he was on YNR. He was Chance Chancellor on YNR.
I love how there's all this soap popping. I mean, I know that there's a limited, stretch of them now, but I just love how, like, these actors just pop up in different, and it's just like, oh, I know him from so and so. Oh, now he's on this. Oh, now he's, I just kind of love how they can just kind of jump back and forth, and you get to see your faves kind of pop up in other places and things like that.
Yeah. I want to thank the 303 people currently watching live. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Yeah.
Go ahead and hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. We finally hit that 200 subscription mark. We're at like 203 at this point. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. We have a lot of soap opera and wrestling content coming up in the future weeks, upcoming weeks. Chair Shot Media Network is adding more people to the lineup. So we're going to be working on a 24-hour network with all of our programming. So just stay tuned for that as the announcements keep coming. And as we move forward on this week, I'm going to start announcing who's going to be presenting each award at the Sudsy Awards. So stay tuned to our at Suds Media Twitch account for that.
I noticed.
And Dani, you're right.
There. Yeah, soaps cannot exist without recast. I was just going to say the same thing. I mean, if you think about it, like, some of even like because from what I understood, Kayla, who's my fave on Days for obvious reasons, she, Mary Beth Evans, took on that role after, there had been someone in that previous role, and now it's like she is Kayla. You do have, and same. I want to say even there was a Dixie on All My Children prior to Gabe McLean showing up. It's like, these recasts, they happen kind of in early sort of. She's number 4. She's the 4th Julie. Wow. I was unaware of that.
Wow.
Thanks for that info, Donna. No, I was unaware of that. Gosh, when I met Susan at Day of Days, oh my goodness. Oh, that was a fun time. I was lucky enough to get in the line to get an autograph from her, and she was so sweet. She gave me a signed photo of Bill Hayes.
Oh, nice.
She's like, would you like a photo of my husband? But I had her sign this Molossoin beach towel that I had won at the Samantha's Friends auction, actually. And the pen wasn't really working, the Sharpie that she had, and she's like, this is not like a good thing to be signing an autograph on. You realize that, right? And she just kind of gave me this, like, I'm like, I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't know. I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm getting like scolded by, Julie right now. But I felt like, but she was just, oh, she couldn't have been sweeter. But honestly, though, I thought I had no idea that she was the fourth Julie.
Well, I
Wow.
mean, even Laura Wright is the fourth Carly. So, on General
Yeah, that's
Hospital.
true.
So,
That's
and
true.
she's kind of made her own. Each recast makes it their own. And I'm not talking about Soros. I'm not talking about the kids being Soros into adults or what have you. I'm talking
Oh
about
gosh, so,
when the
yeah.
character is, you know,
Mhm.
when the character is, um, established as an adult character on the show. You know,
Yes.
sometimes you have to recast, and that just
Yeah.
happens. And you know what? Sometimes there are flops. We had what do we have 3 or 4 Mollies this year alone because of what happened with Haley Poulos and each of
Mm.
the succession of Mollies. But now Kristen Vaganos is Molly. She's owned the character.
Yeah. And
Um,
I mean, there's been multiple Abigails, and that character's got on days, and
yep.
there's been a few different actresses who have played her. I'm still wondering if they're just gonna, I don't know, play the card when they reveal that Kat is somehow like. I don't know. They mention Abigail so much. It's like, okay, come on now, enough with the name dropping. Just bring her back already.
Yeah. Exactly. 4 Mollies in 3 months. So
Wow.
I
Yeah,
mean
that's a bit
Haley
of a.
Poul that was a special situation. Haley Poulos screwed up. She got in trouble. She couldn't do it anymore. She got sent to jail, rehab, whatever it was. And then just they brought in somebody as an emergency. She didn't work out. They brought in somebody else, and the fans got on the company on the show for that recast. And then we finally got Kristen Vaganos. And you know what?
Mm,
It worked. And Kristen
mm.
Vaganos is here. Again, folks, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe and get notified. We are going to make the official switch over to GateCrashers. So I'm going to go ahead and play that entrance video. All right, so we are here with GateCrashers, and I agree, Donna. Vaganos is brilliant in that role. She is Molly in my opinion. All right, so I
So,
put out a tweet, and I gotta ask you guys. I gotta ask you your opinion. I put out a tweet earlier this week.
oh, Donna, putting on my love Michelle Valjean love head too. I love Michelle. I might have mispronounced her name, but yes, no, I loved her.
Michelle Valjean, yeah, Valjean. Um, okay. Victor Dupree is more intimidating now than Sonny Corinthos that I've seen.
I,
Vernon has
yeah, you
been.
said Victor. I was like, wait a minute, Victor. Hang on one second. But
I'm
no,
sorry.
Ver-
You're right. I did say
Vernon.
Victor. It's Vernon. My apologies. Um,
No, it's all good. I was like, wait a minute, is there someone that I missed? Do we have another villain?
Vernon Dupree is probably the most intimidating character right now.
He has been unleashed since
Yes.
they send they send Anita to Chicago, and she's doing her thing, and now all of a sudden we've got sweet, lovely, I'm gonna sing off key on the piano with my wife, and just like total sweetheart puppy dog Vernon
Yeah.
turning into straight up just you don't mess with me. And I saw a comparison too that he was giving vibes to. I don't know if you ever watched Scandal, but
Never did.
Olivia Pope's father, kind of this character that just really like just very similar vibes. I was very just like, wow, this is a shift in this character, but I love to see it. I love
I
seeing
loved
him
it.
in just this
I
protective
absolutely
patriarch
loved it.
mode. It was like I was getting like Palmer Cortland, Adam Chandler, old school, like sort of, just, I will protect my family at all costs. I'm the patriarch. I'm in charge,
Yep.
not messing around. I loved it. I loved it so much, just kind of seeing that other side to him. Because up until now, I love the guy, but I love seeing like the different layers getting teased out and how like
Because
when his protective mode kicks in.
up until now, it really looked like Anita was the control. She was the mama bear. She was the,
Oh yeah.
She was the one calling the shots. And you know what?
Calling the shots, but also working with him as a team. It's like they were a team. They were a unified front. Like I think there was even a line in the promo for this week where like what's going on with our kingdom or something like that, and I just loved that. That just gave me like vibes like it's almost like Game of Thrones or something like that, where it's like just like we're we're in charge, we're but seeing Vernon just kind of off to this separate from Anita and just taking control of the situation, it was just like, wow, this is another side to this guy. Yeah.
And you know what, Dani, you're right. His relationships with his daughters and granddaughters, grandchildren, are amazing.
I love it.
I really, they have me on the edge of my seat to find out exactly what happened with Martin.
Really quick.
All right, Chad. Appreciate you coming in.
Appreciate.
We'll see you on Sunday. Remember, Sunday, 8 p.m. this week. Or next week, I should say. Sunday the 29th is our next episode. But yeah, I appreciate his Vernon's relationships with his grandkids, his children, but I really like the story they're telling with Martin. First off, how the hell did he get elected as a congressman? Considering he's got so many things in his past.
That's what I want to know. How did you get this far politically if you've been having this hanging over your head for how long? And, all these, it's like in this day and age, doesn't seem that, realistic. But at the same time, just suspend disbelief a little bit. At least he isn't entertaining the idea of running for president anymore. At least he's finally gotten that out of the system. Because, there's no way. At this stage, there's no way. Yes. I will say too, his the threatening, cater waiter dude.
Yeah.
Okay, like I was like, they did kind of just. I mean, we got a lot of exposition on that guy really quickly. Like all of a sudden, we just kind of heard his entire situation, very kind of involving his brother, involving it laid it all out super fast to the point that I was just like, whoa, okay, I need the minute to digest this.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, because I even had to rewind the part where the guy kind of bends over and whispers in Martin's ear. I'm like, what did he say?
Yeah.
And then when, the next day I think it was Monday, they came back with, I was just asking if you were ready for your check or whatever, and then they're just piecing these things together. Mm-hmm. I really think we needed that break from Anita. Not that I don't like Tamara Tooney, but I like having the spotlight on Vernon right now.
Yeah, just kind of showing
the way he's putting out the fires
he's going to go to. Exactly. He's not just like sitting back and letting this play out. I mean, even like as soon as like he gets wind of everything that's going on, he walks out. He's on his phone. He's like, "This needs to be handled." And it's like that's the first time we've ever seen him in that sort of mode.
Yes.
Even like when, during like the whole thing with Dani and Bill, when all that broke open, like we saw him in like Papa Bear mode, but we've never seen him like this. So it's just kind of like, oh, okay.
But this,
bud. You mean business.
This story with Martin's memory coming back of this incident, it's an umbrella story, and it's involving so many different people because you're seeing not only Martin and Vernon and the waiter, but you're seeing Bill. Bill is here, there.
And I gotta say, I'm loving that. I love that aspect too.
Yeah. You're seeing the Bill make a phone call to somebody unknown about we might have to do something more permanent. But then you see the flashbacks and you see Marcel. You see, the chief of police, Jacob's father.
Tying all that back in. Gotta love that too. Because I kind of, not that I'd forgotten about that story, but it was kind of on the back burner for a bit. And knowing now, though, that it's getting twined in, plus you got Joey in the mix, plus you got, it's all kind of starting to collide.
Are we going to see Joey involved in this Martin storyline, though?
I wouldn't be surprised if he got twined in somehow.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if like he's somehow on the periphery of it, somehow involved, just because it just adds another, another thread, another connection to the, it connects him to the Duprees, honestly,
Yes.
because we really
He does.
haven't had. I mean, obviously we have, him with Vanessa, but it's a little. This would definitely kind of cement that he's kind of up with their business too. He's a shady guy. He's got some stuff going on. He told Vanessa as much, basically saying like, if you saw half of the stuff that I'd be involved with, you'd run for the hills. To which her response was just like, that doesn't scare me. Which Vanessa, we'll get into that later. But oh my goodness, Vanessa, I love her.
Oh, I'm enjoying the character of Vanessa. Like, here's what I'm really liking about GateCrashers right now. All right, Donna. Donna, I agree.
These two podcasts to be on different nights. Oh,
at some point,
Donna.
we might be able to do that depending on scheduling. We'll have to look into it. All right. So here's what I'm really liking about Beyond the Gates. They're doing things that are soapy, but at the same time, they're kind of hidden in the soap world. What do I mean by that? Vanessa and Doug in their relationship. Like, he knows for sure that she cheats on him and she sleeps around.
Yeah.
He has his vice of gambling. They're okay with it, with their setup.
Yeah.
And it's something that's really...
There's a little tension, but they both know enough about each other to know this is how it is. This is how they're wired.
I think there's tension more because he knows who she's sleeping with on the side now, instead of just random
knowing
guy
that it's
two.
Just kind of now that it's kind of face to the name and knowing full it's a little don't know if you heard that just now in the background. That was fun and exciting, and okay, just gonna kind of move past that.
Thunder?
Was not thunder. Not quite sure what that was exactly. In this instance, I'll just kind of let it lie. I was hoping. Yeah, no, I have a street-facing window, and I'm currently podcasting out of my bedroom. And sometimes you get some fun noise, fun street noise. Anyway.
So Kaiwan says, I think Joey knows that the reason why gambling is legal in DC is because of the Duprees. Because they probably legalized gambling in DC like in real life. Which could be, and that could be it. Maybe he has his casino because of the Duprees.
He could. But it would just be an interesting layer to see him like really kind of, twined in a little bit more with that side. Because I feel with this Martin story, there's just a lot of room for a lot of players to be involved, as you said. I mean, we've got Marcel, we've got the cops, we've got this cater waiter guy, we've got obviously Vernon, we've got, there's a lot of room for folks to kind of play with it and be involved and who's seen what, because we still don't know everything. We know some, but we still, there's still some threads hanging out there that we're not sure about. So, and
we also know about Smitty and Jacob.
Yeah,
Smitty's looking into it, kind of roping Jacob in. It's
Jacob is kind of funny. It's like, okay, he's getting like, it's like, Jacob, you're the cop here, bud, but you're getting kind of, pulled around by the nose by an investigative reporter and also by Kat, who has no formal police training, but is still like kind of just it's like he's just kind of getting led around a little bit.
Oh my God.
By these, which is kind of entertaining, but it's also just like, dude, remember, you are a cop. Like, you have some, like, it's
Kat
almost like out of all.
Laugh.
Oh, I love Kat. I love Kat so much. It's like she's, and she's trying. She's doing her best. She's digging, her heels in. She really obviously wants to go after Leslie, which I totally understand. But the way that she's going about it, she's so cute. I love her. Determined, but also kind of like, oh, honey, no, why are you talking about this in a public place? And oh, wait, no, that's not what you're supposed to do with the evidence. There needs to be like a, chain of custody. But she's trying, This is what she should be doing over the purse thing, in my opinion. She should be training to like, be Jacob's like, kind of maybe Jacob's boss, honestly, at this point.
Well, actually, talking about Jacob and Kat, that kind of brings us into the what the fudge moment of the week. Yes, folks, For those of you who are just tuning in now, we are talking about Beyond the Gates because we combined Suds News and GateCrashers tonight because Angela's without power. I basically did the first hour of Suds News myself, and Kim jumped in. So we've just combined it all into one. But the What the Fudge moment of the week comes from Beyond the Gates, just from today's episode alone, and Leslie having the cojones to just go right up to Jacob and Kat and say, hey, I want to help you out. Let's team up. Facetiously, of course.
But at the same time, I understand for set purposes, they just really like using the set at Orphe Jeans. But why the heck are you having that level of a conversation there? Go to the police station if you're going to be chatting a case.
I understand. I understand the Cat wants to. Well, Jacob probably doesn't want to meet in the police department because, I mean, you shouldn't be divulging information like that to a civilian.
True, but
somewhere
a
else,
more discreet spot, not a cafe that that she come on, guys, go to.
They could go to the Fairmount Crest, the country club.
Yeah,
they both belong there.
You're just out and exposed at a table for Leslie to just. But yes, I agree. Leslie just walking straight up, with the just full on, she cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, lady. Oh,
yes, exactly.
Bottle rockets or little firecrackers going off right now.
We're getting to the 4th of July, so.
Yeah. Little preemptive, but anyways.
But I completely agree with you, and I really feel like she had a lot of nerve going up, but they should have had the discussion somewhere else. But the way that they interact.
Oh yeah.
And the way that Leslie kind of brought out that she's suing Kat and Jacob for whatever it was, whether it's harassment or whatever.
Come on, lady. You've already kind of gotten away with sort of, but now you're just rubbing your, it's you're going to, this is flying too close to the sun.
Yes.
You are going to run into trouble here. This is going to backfire on you. Eventually. It is kind of, it's entertaining as hell to see it play out. I love the way that she interacts with these guys. I love seeing her just in this mode where she just feels like she's, top dog and everything. But, it's all going to come out from underneath her sooner rather than later. And I don't know. Personally, I'm kind of hoping for it too. It's okay. Yeah. You've played your hand a lot. You're going up. You're making all these little threats. I want to start seeing the unraveling now. I want to start seeing kind of, the downward sort of, and eventually them just kind of owning, this situation and putting her where she belongs and seeing her kind of spiral downward because it's entertaining as heck seeing, Trisha Mann Grant's amazing in this role.
She is.
It's so entertaining to see her every time she pops up. But yeah, we got to see this, her villain era start to kind of, unravel a little bit.
Yes, because that's what's going to make her a true soap villainess. And I'm enjoying it completely. But that is our What the Fudge moment of the week. Just her having the balls to go right up to, Kat and Jacob. And
just so brazen, you gotta love it. It's just at this point, I'm just gonna, throw my weight around here and just kind of, and then in the meantime, you've got I really appreciated in today's episode seeing Eva kind of step into
before we get to that,
her. Sorry.
Before we get into another story, I do want to say that the What the Fudge moment of the week is brought to you by What the Fudge Homemade Confections. Check them out on Facebook, facebook.com/whatthefudgect, or just go to whatthefudgect.com. If you're in the New Haven, Connecticut area or driving through, definitely go ahead and check it out. The fudge is fantastic. And the flavors rotate all the time. Not to mention, from what a little birdie told me, she's testing out salted caramel fudge. So again, if you're in the New Haven, Connecticut area, check it out. It is made in a cottage kitchen, so she can't ship yet. But if you're going to be traveling through the New Haven, Connecticut area or close by, check it out. whatthefudgect.com or facebook.com/whatthefudgect. use code SUDS and you get 10% off your order. That's What the Fudge CT Homemade Confections. Check it out. All right, now we're going to move on to Eva, and
Yeah.
I kind of like the redemption story they're giving her.
I appreciate it too. I like seeing just in comparison to like, Leslie like coming in like, walking up all just I'm in charge and I'm the one who's like, despite everything that I've done, you have Eva who is like feels as she's getting that job description rattled off to her. She's just you can see her just like totally just shattered. Just like,
Yes.
like I can't do this. There's no way. I'm not and just seeing like her kind of get that pep talk from Nicole and then going it back into that office just being like, "Yep, I'm going to do this now." It was just such like a satisfying little mini arc for her today. I just really
Yeah.
appreciated that. Her just kind of being like, "You know what? Like I can do this." And I appreciate the arc that they're giving her and I appreciate the fact that, you've got Ted just really, dialed into the fact that like this is his daughter. He wants her to succeed. He wants her to, find her path, whatever, and just yeah. No, it was really, really good scenes with Eva today.
Yeah.
I
I
feel for
I
that girl and I want to see her kind of,
Yeah, no, and
do well.
I really like the idea of her doubting herself and the way that Nicole was kind of sympathetic, so to speak. She was matter
Yeah.
of fact, but she was
Yeah.
also sympathetic towards Eva and basically saying, "Listen, you were brilliant. These are all your great traits,
Yep.
and the animosity is not from your working. It
Yeah.
was more, and I kind of like how Eva's like, I think I'm scared because he's the only parent I have that's willing to give me a shot, that actually cares about me.
Yeah.
You
No,
know,
the fact that Nicole was able to just kind of separate it out and just point to the fact that, like, yes, Eva's a good worker. Yes, she did great work when she was with us, and I can still
yep,
appreciate her for that, and still, say, and that she's capable of doing all of this. I loved how she was, with the cotillion comment too, or like the fancy dinners, and her just saying like, you just need. I can't remember the exact line that Nicole said, but just
yep,
like along the lines of just like, you just need to show like, like you belong, show up and then you'll be able to make it happen. Just it was just such like a good, well written scene. Great pep talk, what you'd expect. It wasn't like her like laying it on thick or saying, "Oh, sweetie, everything's gonna be okay," and like hugging her and everything like that, and it turning into this big emotional thing. But she told
yep,
Eva what she needed to hear, and it was just a really good moment. And yeah, Eva saying too, like, the only parent that hasn't, I mean, that, if that didn't, tug at your heartstrings.
yeah.
Because at the end of the
I
day, I mean, yeah, Leslie's a wild card and, Ted is trying, but, it's like she's just, she's, kind of, you could tell that she craves that sort of, attention, that sort of love, that sort of, and her trying to step into her power and find it. It's like,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
you go, girl.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I can't say anything different there because I'm like, and I'm gonna go back to what I said about the what what I'm really liking about GateCrashers, Beyond the Gates. Um, these so the relationship dynamics of the characters, we're seeing them evolve as we move along. Um, and even with characters where you knew that Cat was going to be or not Cat, Eva was going to be the one that was going to be um, redeemed. She'd already started kind of that babyface turn while she was still technically doing stuff with her mother. But then at the, anniversary party, she, tried to stop her mother from doing it. That was a full babyface turn.
Yeah.
Steve asks, yeah, is Dani just thinking out loud when she sees Bill? Is she totally crazy seeing him in the room? I think she's just missing him.
I think she's missing him, but I will say if they did go the crazy route where she's just hallucinating him, I mean, I don't know.
I think she's just.
I
She's
think she was
just
just kind of,
missing
yeah,
him.
he's on her
Because
mind. They wanted to show it. That would be an interesting kind of, She's just
We've all
straight
been
out
through breakups
hallucinating his
where,
presence. But
we've all been through relationships that ended, and there are times where you miss the good times and not the bad, necessarily the bad times.
and I will say, as much as I hate to admit it, the chemistry between
Oh yeah,
those two, Carla Mosley and I'm
Timon,
Timon.
yeah,
Yes. Oh my
Timon
goodness.
Kyle Durrett.
Thank you. Their chemistry is off the charts.
Yes.
I've always
Well,
thought that. But even
yeah.
in like scenes, like just the little flashback moments and stuff like that, it's like I don't want to like them together, but oh damn, like they do have that you buy into like their relationship, so like you buy into like that history, and
What I really
how.
what I really like is that the majority of the cast has chemistry with, like the cast has chemistry with themselves. Like you very rarely see a scene of people that don't have chemistry together.
True.
Um,
True.
except
Yeah.
for Ashley and Derek.
Yeah, I was thinking that, but I wasn't gonna. But yes, no, and
Yeah.
I honestly, I think like Carla Mosley is one of those that could have chemistry with a potted plant. Like she just, every person that she interacts with, like
Yeah.
I freaking love her. I just think that she just, she sparks in chemistry with everyone on the show, pretty much.
Yeah.
But I just really, I don't know, like the scenes with her and Bill, it's like they to me they put Bill and Haley to absolute shame. I see
Yeah.
that's another couple. I'm sorry, I don't see that. That's another one we can add to the Derek and Ashley list, in my opinion. I don't see chemistry between those two.
I think they're kind of playing up the age difference with Bill and Haley.
Yeah.
Because
I have trouble with like them trying to, and you could see the cracks starting to form a little bit, but
oh yeah,
I just don't. Their scenes together when they're kind of lovey-dovey, total turn
yeah,
off for me. I'm just like I no go but now we're starting to see some cracks and things like that, which is starting to get more interesting because
yeah.
frankly I'm not invested. Not that I'm supposed to be, but I'm not invested in like their scenes half the time, and I'm just kind of like, if whatever, skip past. In comparison to scenes that Bill has with Vernon, that Bill has
Right.
with Dani, that Bill has with his daughters, it's just not. Except I did appreciate the scene with Bill and when Chelsea came over to the
Yes.
house. Those were some good, bringing in kind of that family sort of tension, that little mix. That was interesting too, and that was also kind of like seeing a bit of a crack with Bill and Haley, where Chelsea comes into the fold and
I
into the
think
house and everything.
I
Yeah.
think we're gonna end up seeing. I I think we're gonna end up seeing Haley turn out to be almost like that soap vixen that is going to end up not only cheating on Bill but end up with faking her pregnancy or faking a miscarriage or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think what's going to happen is you're going to see Chelsea and Naomi not forgive Haley, but kind of come to accept her, and that's when she's going to completely turn
Yeah.
and kind of rip the Band-Aid off again.
I could see that playing out. Yeah. I could see that playing out. I will say I realize, like, by them giving Bill the sort of, the medical issues, the stroke, all of that. And we were even seeing, Naomi softening towards him, prior to that. I still say that it's whenever Bill says that they should just kind of get over it and accept his wife, and whenever the girls are just kind of like not really going at it, it, it still feels like it's too fresh. I wish
Yeah,
that they had played that tension out longer. I wish that they weren't as quick to forgive. I wish that there was still that, I mean, we see it with like Chelsea when she found out about like the pregnancy and things like that. We see like in like moments here and there, but I
mhm,
still think just given, I mean, someone pointed out to me the other day, and I couldn't even believe this soap's only like 4 months old.
yeah.
But
Well,
I
the
just
soap
feel
is
like
4 months old, but these people had lives prior to the soap.
yeah, but
So
I just feel that, but we did see all of this kind of like, shake out. I still wish that we were seeing them feeling more betrayed, still tension, still still more conflict. I mean, I understand, like, health issue will put everything in perspective, but there are some moments where I'm just like, okay, like, when especially when Bill is like trying to defend Haley, and even to his daughters and being like, like it's like, no, but that was like your daughter's best friend who you hooked up with. Like there should still be significant issue there. Like, just
Do you
in my
think
opinion at
that,
least.
and this is something I would love to ask, whether it's a producer or a writer, and actually I found out that I am going to be sitting with Gregory J. Martin at the Samantha's Friends event
Yay.
in September.
Oh,
So maybe
nice.
I can pick his brain about it. But
Oh, you definitely should.
obviously, the goal for Beyond the Gates is to become, a long running soap opera.
Yes.
My thinking, and I'm wondering what the thinking is in the writers' room. Are they trying to get a lot of their characters into the stories and get the stories wrapped up quickly because of being so new, so we're emotionally connected to the characters, so that as it does go forward, now you can think of something different? Because the one thing I feel like with Beyond the Gates
Mhm.
that I don't get from like a General Hospital or whatever else is that it doesn't feel like a soap per se, and I don't know what exactly it is to pinpoint what it is. Is it the fact where it kind of feels like it's like a primetime drama that I'm watching, or
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
It is a little bit of an anomaly, like up against, but this is the first soap that I've had the privilege of being able to see from the
Right.
premiere episode. So,
Me too.
it's like, I'm not entirely sure how they decided, like how Agnes Nixon decided to like have all like her, stories and her story Bible play out for All My Children for One Life to Live
Right.
when they first
Yes.
originated, and like what the circumstances were. I feel like there's a little bit of a speed run going on with some of the plots and some of the
Mhm.
stories. And I feel like too, we've obviously got the Dupree family, and obviously we're gonna have like other, families that get blended in over time. But
Uh-huh.
the other families, the other family aspect isn't really quite there with Beyond the Gates at this
Right.
stage. We haven't really seen like, because it's like, on days, it's like you had the Brady's and you had the, Hortons, and you had like these different sort of, and
The
I feel like with
Damaras.
this,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, and now I feel like it's more, it's the Duprees, and then everyone kind of orbits around them, which is
Yeah.
fine. But I feel like eventually we're going to need to see like, and there's time for that to still play out.
Of
Obviously, the
course.
soap is so
Of
new,
course.
and of course, we're going to see, but we don't really have like that like family rivalry. We don't have like Carringtons versus like something out of like Dynasty or something like that with like this
Yep.
big rivalry and things. It's like, so maybe in that way that's why it kind of feels like an anomaly and a little bit more like primetime drama ish, because it's more centered
Yeah.
around like just this core and then other characters orbiting around it versus different families that are in different kind of realms but all kind of interact and overlap, which I feel like is
Yeah.
more traditional soap.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. I think that's what it is. You hit the nail on the head. Is that
Yeah.
you're not, you're not seeing, a Quartermain versus Spencer rivalry or
But
Cassadine.
coming back really quick though to Gregory Martin though too, if you look at the Bay, it's really kind of hinging around the Garretts.
True. True.
So
Yep.
I mean, different kind of animal entirely, but also that's another avenue that could just be the way that Beyond the Gates is trying to play it, where it's like this is our core, and these are the
Yes.
folks that are going to kind of intersect, because versus more traditional where you got like the main families all etched out in certain sort of ways and everything like that. But
Yeah.
not to say that we're not going to see like future families and stuff come into the fold, because believe me, I'm dying to see like some, like we got a little taste of it with like the Articulettes, coming into
Yes.
town and like that whole kind of side. And it's like, okay, let's see Anita in Chicago and like see like this, kind of aspect, and see like these women and what that kind of we got like a little kind of glimmer of like these outsiders who kind of come in and are competing and are kind of, in that sense to a degree, which
Yeah.
I don't know. Can we like get an episode that's just like them in Chicago? They can come out here and film on location.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Because technically, the neighborhood where I live is actually like what used to be considered, I want to say like adjacent to Cabrini Green, which is referenced on the show
Oh,
back in the
okay.
day. So it's like
Nice.
cool. I hear Cabrini Green mentioned, and I'm just like, yeah, I my neighborhood is kind of, it's not, but location wise, back
Right.
in the day, there was some, so I don't know. I like the whole Chicago card, and I want to kind of see that side a little bit more. As when they showed Anita kind of chatting from there, it's like, come on, show her like bumming around and doing like her song thing. But
Yeah.
at the same time, no,
Agreed.
but just getting that sense of like history, bad history, and stuff that's playing out with like these other people that she considered like, family and rivals and things like that. It's like, yeah, bringing more of that sort of energy, more of that element. And we're seeing it with the umbrella storyline that's shaping out with Martin too. I mean,
Agreed.
this guy, this cater waiter guy, he's clearly got, it would be interesting if like, because, him coming into town and kind of crashing the party, so to speak, and just kind of being all like threatening and everything. It's like, there's room for that. That was kind of giving me a little bit of like a Steve Johnson energy when he first comes to Salem and is like, angry at Bo for
Mhm.
taking out his eye, and just kind of, a little bit of that sort of vibe where it's just like, this guy comes in and he's just prepared to do whatever because he's got a, chip on his shoulder. And it's like,
Yes.
okay, let's see more about this chip, and let's like see more, kind of how it's like, it's a good jumping off point, I feel like, for a lot of, cool drama and things like that. And I like that it's getting teased out this way. Even though that the guy, I wanted to smack him. I'm like, you stop talking the way that you're talking to Martin. And I'm not even that big of a Martin fan, but I'm just like, stop talking to him like that. I don't like this.
Yeah, he did seem kind of creepy, but I kind of like where they're going with him trying to blackmail Martin and everything.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's clearly got an agenda. Yeah, he's clearly
I'm trying to find out what exactly happened, because he made a comment of, this is for my brother, even though he can't be here to celebrate or can't be here to whatever. Was it where he got beat down so bad he ended up killing himself, or
that's
was
kind of the vibe that I got? That was my first instinct.
Or he went to prison when you were supposed to, and I don't know.
I mean, there's a lot of different ways it could potentially go, but I was leaning towards, well, he's not here anymore as the brother is gone. And that would be enough for him to like, come to, seeking revenge and seeking all of this, that would be a motivating factor. Mm-hmm. So if they do go that way, I wouldn't be surprised. But, it was a lot that they just kind of, like a bit of an exposition dump. It was just like, whoa, okay, and then wait, now what? It's like, I like, okay, now I just got to kind of piece that together and see where it's going to go, because they did just drop a lot of info all at once about this guy.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. Let's see. I'm trying to think what else happened. Derek proposed to Ashley.
Yes.
She said no.
Honestly, like I was kind of in the camp of this, like watching the scenes play out. I was like, okay, Derek, you're free. Go off, bud. Go off, Golden Retriever man. Find somebody else. And
it was very strange to me, because after watching it, it was really strange to the point of he proposed because he can't, like, there were mixed signals all over the place.
Yeah.
From the very beginning between both of them. He brings her out to dinner. She thinks he's breaking up with her. What? Then, like, he proposes because he loves her. He wants to. They just came off of a failed experiment of living together.
Right. So let's move to marriage. In the studio
apartment, I get that. But then, she says, no, not right now, whatever. So then he breaks up with her after that, because he doesn't, you know, he doesn't
He
think
doesn't
she
know where
wants
it's
to be with
going. Yeah, at this point, he's like
Yeah,
kind of like, well, if you're not going to marry me now, when's it going to be? In a year? In 5 years? When it's like it made sense where he was coming from, but it also just felt a little, I don't know, it felt a little convoluted. The whole like
yeah,
tension. It felt a little forced. It felt a little just kind of okay. You know what? We're just going to kind of force their hands here, and make Ashley kind of spin out, and make Derek just kind of react, and even if they had kind of played up a little bit more of the jealousy angle with
yeah,
him feeling threatened by Andre, because then
right.
that way you could kind of see a little bit more. I mean, we were getting like flickers of that here and there, but not enough to like really, that would have been a little bit more of like if he had like, just, really dialed into that more. I feel like it could
Yeah,
have, it just felt a little too convenient, and like the miscommunication thing and them not being in the same place. It's like, okay, but I feel like they should have played that card a little bit more. Even though
I
personally, it's like as far as I'm concerned, Andre needs to stay with Dani because I like
I
Andre and
liked
Dani
Andre
together.
again. I really do. And I like the meltdown that they're having. You know that
Hmm.
like Nicole's having because she's sleeping with Andre. She's like,
I do too.
he's
I like that
your
tension.
nephew. He's my nephew, only by marriage. Not he's Ted's nephew. Like, oh my goodness gracious! And
Yeah, but I that was such good, like that whole fallout. I really appreciated. That didn't feel convoluted, and everything that like Danny's been saying to Andre, the reason why there's tension between them, that feels like organic to me.
yes,
It's coming from a place that makes sense because you got Danny, who's still kind of obviously, even from today's episode, in like this sort of state over Bill still, and still with unresolved feelings and can't commit to anything. It's like we get that. We feel that from her. Whereas with
yes,
Ashley, it's like, okay, you spin out because he cleans your refrigerator with a steel wool, and then you don't like him being in your house, and then all of a sudden you're just totally reassessing, and it's not even really, they're not even really dialing into the Andre thing with her even. It's like
right.
he just kind of shows up, and it's not like she's like lusting after him, or like all they haven't really
Well,
played.
she did wake up one morning thinking he was in
She
bed
did,
with her.
yeah, but it just doesn't feel as, they're not playing that card as much as I feel like they should. If
Mhm.
I just feel like that would have been a more organic route for them to be like in full on nuclear mode and breaking it off, versus just whatever kind of built up the weirdness between them. Because to me that just felt a little, and all of it was almost kind of like a mercy killing when Derek did eventually just say it's time to go.
Yeah,
It's like, okay, put this to a merciful end now. Let's let it rest. Because I
yeah,
don't know, I saw chemistry between him and the actress who plays Haley. To be perfectly honest, they only
I
shared
did
one
too.
little scene, but like, hey, put them together. What the heck?
Yeah,
Like, I don't know. It was a little. I mean, the relationship's always been kind of lackluster. I guess it kind of makes sense that like their end supposedly is going to be kind of that way too. I still
yeah.
want them to make Ashley Joey's daughter somehow.
I think that would make it
Twine
more
her
interesting.
in. It would definitely give her a layer. And, you got, I think you had brought it up too, like potential connection to like the hospital or something like that, and Joey
Yeah,
being kind of in, there's room to play there, but twining her in, it's like how everyone kind of revolves around the Duprees. Well, we need Ashley to revolve around a big player in town, because
yes,
otherwise it's like, what are you doing? You
yeah.
know?
No, you're exactly right. Taiwan says I think she loved it over Andre, but they dropped it for a little while. Yeah, I agree. I think they had Andre kind of focus more on Danny for a little while, and you're right.
Yeah.
There's no solid. It feels like there's no solid plan for Andre yet. Like
Yeah.
they're testing the waters with Danny, and he's more in Danny's orbit than Ashley's. But every so often you see him kind of he's like a drizzle with Ashley, like just enough
Yeah.
rain to be a nuisance, but not
Yeah.
enough to really make an impact.
Exactly. Exactly. And I feel like, if they really wanted to dial in on that, then maybe it's like they're still trying to like pick a lane almost. Andre with
Yeah,
Danny, Andre with, and I think, sooner rather than later, it's like, all right, let's see which side of the fence he's going to fall on. and which
exactly.
because personally, I appreciated the fallout way more on the Dupree, on the Dani side, just with Nicole finding out and feeling like that level of just because you could just see someone pointed out on Twitter, like Nicole just could not handle one more thing, and then they give her one more thing with the
Yeah,
whole Dani, and her reacting to that. It's like, stop telling the woman lies. She can't handle it anymore. Like, and her scenes, Nicole's scenes with Ted, when
yeah.
she kind of goes to the office, with presenting the paperwork and everything like that. Oh my goodness. That was, I saw, kind of between the two actors, definite more chemistry in that scene than I've seen kind of yet with them. And I really appreciated it. And I thought those scenes were really, really well done between the two of them.
I tend to agree with you when it comes to that. I feel like Nicole is going at this separation. She's trying to leave her emotions out of it. She's kind of looking at it from a business perspective.
Business. Oh
You
yeah,
know,
no, definitely. And then you got
she's going through the
Ted
living will.
pouring out his heart and soul in
Yep.
that speech. He was like wearing his heart on his sleeve, and she was very just. But then you hear her justification for it, just being like, "I'm trying, you're trying to save our marriage. I'm trying to save myself right now." And it was
Yeah.
just like, oof, that hit. It's like,
And
oh,
I
Nicole,
think
I just want to give you a hug.
it's going to backfire on her because of the simple fact that he's going to be at the point at some point that he's like, this is fruitless. Why am I going to do this? Because she's not even showing her emotions. And for somebody who is a psychiatrist, a therapist, psychiatrist, whatever you want to call her, she's kind of avoiding everything that you would tell her clients to do. Face the problem, face this, come,
And
figure
Dani
out your
kind of
feelings.
called her out on that a little bit.
She did.
Like,
yes.
Which I appreciated. Like, when she had the cup throwing, session at the house, when they're throwing and smashing the, and moments like that, their sister chemistry. I love those scenes. I buy into their, their sister relationship so hard. They're great together. But
I agree.
no, Dani's kind of been able to kind of, draw that out of her a little bit, which I appreciate. But yeah, she's definitely trying to handle it just as like, like a professional, like it's a business thing. Like she goes in there just like rattling off like, well, this account needs to be resolved with this. And it's just like, you'd think that they were sitting on like a business meeting for the hospital versus, talking about the relationship. But then you had Ted, Mr. Like, like he was very, heartfelt and emotional. And what was the line he said? Like, I see you in these clothes, and I remember taking off those clothes, and I was just like, whoa, bud, okay. Like you are just. It's like we need to see more of that energy from him. I remember there was when he kind of showed up right in the immediate aftermath of the affair when they're sitting at the country club. And I'm sorry if you can only hear fireworks from me right now.
Right.
No. Yeah, that's kind of getting annoying now. No, when he shows up and he's all like confident and kind of, and this was prior to the recast too. But when he shows up and he's kind of got that like sort of, oh, I'm going to get you back. I'm going to get you back. And, it's like we hadn't really seen that. And then that energy was kind of brought back in those scenes, where he's just like, can't just send the flowers. You really just got to be dialed in on her, and just, I was seeing that kind of energy again from him. But it wasn't coming from like a cocky place. It was just like, no, I need you back because this is like how connected we are. And I don't know, I felt it in that moment.
See, I'm the complete opposite. I'm not feeling it from, and again, I'm going to go back. We talked about it earlier. Recasts happened in soaps. I can't get with this new Ted. Like, I think because it was such a drastic change right at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Like Maurice Johnson, and I've said it before, he had this aura about him. He had the deep voice, the power
there was a
behind
certain
him.
presence.
He had a presence.
Similar to Bill with that sort of energy. I agree.
this new
But
guy,
yeah.
his voice is too high pitched for me, and I know it's something small, and I know it's just nitpicky, but his voice is too high pitched. Like, I don't get that aura. Like, when I see him in the scenes with Nicole, I see him more as groveling and sniveling and just Weasley type of, oh, I'm so sorry, take me back. Whereas I personally felt the emotion of sadness and regret was more real coming from Maurice Johnson.
Yeah.
I can't. I just.
I don't know.
Dog.
I think it was maybe the dialogue of the scene, maybe just the construction of the scene, but there was something in that most recent, because prior to that, like when they would have interactions, I wouldn't really see any, noticeable kind of chemistry, no real noticeable spark. But when they kind of got to play the emotional card a little bit more, I felt it more. But I do agree with you. There was a certain presence that Maurice Johnson brought that we don't really have that BDE, I think Angela referred to it as. We had that with him. We get that with Bill. We get that sort of burn. It's just like that kind of presence, and it's a different presence with.
He doesn't pass the airport test for me, and and I've said that. I said that on here before.
Yeah.
The reason why is Keith Robinson, you could put him with Jacob, Martin, Randy, and they all look the same.
There is I will say it, like, especially like, I kind of, there
Andre.
is sort of I can kind of, but I'm willing to just kind of let it, I don't know, willing to just kind of let it ride, let it play out. And I did appreciate though, just Nicole just really kind of getting to have that moment though. And even just hearing those words from Ted was nice.
Yes. No, I agree.
In terms of just strictly like the dialogue and what that, that kind of character moment for them, it's like, okay, cool. I'm glad we had this. Glad we had this chat, guys.
No, I get it.
So.
Yeah.
But it's the recast is still it's still fresh. It's still just kind of on our minds. But as we were talking about earlier, soaps and recasts, they happen, and we're just kind of at where we're at this point.
We don't know the reasoning behind it. We don't know if it was his decision or the show's decision, what have you. We don't know all of that, so we can't.
Well,
really,
I will say. Also, though, in terms of emotion and in terms of someone I want to see more of, because holy cow, the scenes with June.
Yes, they brought her back. Like she was off for a couple weeks.
But when we got the scenes where she gets the picture, like going through that box of valuables and her looking for that picture and then her finding it, holy cow! Like submit that for an Emmy, please.
Agreed.
I mean that was an incredible scene. Very well acted, I mean, we can speculate the children in the photo, who they potentially were. The way she kind of refers to them as like almost in like the third person, like she can't even bring herself to even talk about the fact that they likely are her kids. She's just looking at them just for the smile. But oh my goodness, very, very well, powerful.
I think those two kids are going to end up being Samantha and
I think so too.
Tyrell.
I think
Tyrell?
so too.
I think his name's in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised. I mean, you got twins. It was, twins in the photo. Or now, okay. I thought I saw this on Twitter. Are Tyrell and Samantha? You're right. I don't think they are twins. I think I stand corrected.
No.
Because I for some reason I thought
Vanessa
they were.
and Doug have twins.
There we are.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why I had that association in my head. Yeah.
And
no,
we
you're
never
right.
met them either. So.
Yeah. Okay. No, that tracks. That tracks better. But yeah, just she killed that scene though. I'm blanking on the actress's name who plays June, but holy cow!
Yeah, I don't know who it is.
Yeah, and I wonder too. I do see a resemblance between her and the actress who plays Haley. I wonder if there's some sort of a connection there.
That was what I thought at first. Maybe it was Haley's mom, which would kind of show.
I don't know if but that's maybe not. Well, because she doesn't look that much old. I don't know. It's just something about a resemblance maybe like some relative. Maybe they are related. Maybe we don't, we don't know. But
Yeah, we'll have to see.
all I can say, I just want to see more of June because yeah, she brought it in that scene. That was
Oh
really
yeah,
well done.
absolutely amazing. Well, folks, I've been going at this for 2 hours now. We have
Yeah,
362 people watching. I thank you
yeah,
so
you're a
much for
trooper.
tuning in. Because thank you so much, and thank you to the chat for helping me get through the first hour or so. While we were, while I was doing this on my own, but we're gonna end this now. Well, remember, Sunday night, the 29th, we'll be here at 8. And then 10 for Suds News, and then GateCrashers, and maybe after vacation, we'll think about switching nights. Depends on my work schedule, of course. But we'll have to see. But go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Suds Media, or Suds-Media, excuse me. youtube.com/@Suds-Media. So hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bells because we'll have more soap opera and wrestling content coming up in the near future. And folks, we are out of time. Kim, where can everybody find you?
So I am Misfit8690 on Twitter and a little Misfit52 on YouTube. Feel free to check out fan edits that I've got there, as well as some episodes of, obviously, GateCrashers, and also Dockside at the Bay, which
Yes.
tomorrow night as
Yes, we will be recording Dockside of the Bay. Dockside at
Yes.
the Bay tomorrow.
Yes.
You can find me at Vinnie Suds on Facebook and Twix, at Suds Media on Twix. Basically, look for Suds and Squared Circle on all of the different platforms, or Suds Media. But definitely go ahead and hit that subscribe button on our YouTube page and check out our new sponsor, W Energy. That's WDUBBY.GG. Use code Suds Media for 10% off. It's energy drinks and hydration drinks as well. And you can get these cool shaker bottles. And look at this. I got, they do have them in Slimer Green.
Ooh.
And yeah, trying to make sure the light doesn't turn it off. But either way, check it out. WDUBBY.GG. Promo code Suds Media. 10% off your purchase. But for Kim, I'm Vinny, and for Angela, who's out of power, we will see you on Sunday at 8 p.m. for Suds News. Have a great night, everybody.
Have a great night.